We need to talk about a Supreme Court decision that just dropped. And wow, while it might seem like a small temporary thing on the surface, it's actually kicking off this massive conversation about presidential power, the economy, and the independence of one of our most critical institutions. So, what's the headline? The Supreme Court has basically said President Trump cannot immediately remove Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook from her position. Now, this is a direct answer for now, but believe me, this is far from the final word on the matter. Okay, so why is everyone talking about this? Why does a temporary halt like this matter so much? Well, it's because this isn't really just about one person's job. Nope. This is about a fundamental clash of ideas, something that's been brewing under the surface for a long time. And at the very heart of this legal drama is a classic power struggle. You've got the president on one side and the Fed on the other. This whole case really boils down to two big competing ideas. Think of it like two forces pushing against each other. On one side, you have the argument for presidential authority, the idea that, hey, the president's in charge, so they should be able to direct the people running the economy. But on the other side, you have this really critical, long-standing tradition of Fed independence. And that's there to keep our monetary policy stable, to keep it away from short-term political games. This case puts those two ideas right in the ring, head-to-head. Now, to really get what happened here, we need to know a quick legal term. It's called a stay. The administration went to the court and asked for a stay. What's that? It's basically them asking for permission to remove Governor Cook right now, while the bigger case plays out. And what did the court say? They said no, or maybe more accurately, not yet. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. The Supreme Court did not make a final ruling here. All they did was deny the immediate request. That means the bigger constitutional question, can a president actually fire a Fed governor? That's still very much on the table. And honestly, this outcome was, it was kind of surprising, especially when you look at this administration's track record with these kinds of urgent requests. Get this number in your head. 19 out of 21. That was the Trump administration's success rate in previous urgent requests to the Supreme Court. 19 wins, 2 losses. They have overwhelmingly gotten their way in these fast-tracked cases. And that's what makes this particular no stand out so much. These kinds of cases happen on what legal experts call the shadow docket. It's not the big, dramatic, publicly argued cases we hear about for months. No, this is for urgent, emergency decisions made quickly, often without a lot of public explanation. So to lose a case on this docket, especially with that 19 out of 21 record, that's a very big deal. So, of course, this raises the key question, right? What makes the Federal Reserve so special? If the court sided with the administration 19 other times on urgent stuff, why did they draw the line here, with the Fed? Well, the answer might actually lie in the court's own words from a past case. See, in a previous ruling, the court described the Fed as and this is the key phrase, a quasi-private organization. Quasi just means sort of, or partly. So they're signaling that they see the Fed as structurally different from your typical government agency. And that suggests its long tradition of independence carries some real legal weight. Okay, so like I said, this is far from over. The immediate action was blocked, but the main event, that's still coming. So let's talk about what happens next in this high-stakes legal fight. All right, here's the roadmap. For now, Governor Cook keeps her job. But look ahead. The Supreme Court has scheduled oral arguments for January 2026. Yeah, you heard that right. 2026. And a final decision, one that could totally reshape presidential power, we might not see that until the summer of 2026. So this is definitely going to be a slow burn. So let's just recap the big takeaways here. First, Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook is safe in her job, at least for now. Second, the Supreme Court is going to hear the full arguments on the president's authority later on. Third, this was a really rare and notable loss for the administration on that shadow docket. And finally, the whole thing seems to hinge on this unique idea that the Fed is a quasi-private institution. And all of this leaves us with the ultimate question, the one that's at the very center of this entire debate, and the one the Supreme Court will have to answer. In a modern democracy, where exactly do we draw the line between a president's power and an institution's independence? The answer to that, it's going to have consequences for decades to come.